Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. Fine, we're done. Go cry to your little journal or whatever. She said it laughing, like it was a sitcom, like I was the punchline. I didn't respond. I didn't slam the door. I didn't even blink. I just stood there, in the hallway of our apartment, holding the receipt for the dinner reservation she forgot about, again, and watched her twist the cork off another wine bottle like it was a victory dance. It wasn't the first time she joked about leaving me, but it was the last time I let it slide. I walked past her, quietly, calmly. She didn't even look up. I left the receipt on the counter, grabbed my keys, and left my phone face down on the couch. I didn't need it anymore. She still doesn't know that was the moment I vanished. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't write a letter. I just left, and I've been silent ever since. What she also doesn't know is that I left proof. Not dramatic, not public, just undeniable. There's a voice recording saved to a flash drive tucked behind the radiator in the guest bathroom. She'll find it eventually. I made sure of that. On it, her voice, and another man's, laughing about how easy it is to mess with the sensitive ones. They were sitting in our bedroom when she said it. While I was at work. While I was picking up dinner for the anniversary she forgot. She doesn't know I heard it all. That I slipped home early that day. That I paused outside the door and hit record before she even saw me. And when I walked in with the takeout bag, she kissed me like nothing happened. But I knew then. And I know now she thought she had the upper hand. She thought I'd stay like always, but I didn't. I walked out after her stupid little joke. And I made it permanent. And that was just day one. You want to know what happened on day two? Wait until she realized all the accounts were locked. It's funny how you can disappear without changing your location. I didn't board a plane or cross state lines. I didn't even switch cities. I stayed right here, 2 neighborhoods over, where the coffee shop has mismatched chairs and the guy behind the counter calls everyone boss. I changed my number. I shut down all my socials. And I locked every account we shared, not out of spite, but survival. Her laughter still rang in my ears like a siren. That one stupid sentence, "We're done," was supposed to be a joke, but it was a joke she'd rehearsed too well. And if she said it like that once, she'd say it again. Louder, sharper, probably in front of people. The truth? I didn't want to give her that satisfaction. I stayed offline. I didn't tell my friends. I didn't even warn my brother, who still texts me like I'm just on a long weekend. The only thing I did, and I mean the only thing, was check the joint accounts. That was my window into her world. And right on cue, 3 days after I left, Dahlia transferred $340 from our shared grocery fund to J.S. Nails. I know that place. It's across from the bar where she once said, "If we ever break up, I'm totally getting black nails and ordering whiskey." She said it laughing. Always laughing. Now she was living the punchline. But she didn't know the bank account was flagged. She didn't know every card she tried would freeze within minutes. I had added alerts, redirections. I spent an entire night on the phone with customer support, not to be cruel, but to protect what little self-worth I had left. I wasn't going to let her drink and joke her way through my name anymore. I didn't take revenge. I just took myself back, quietly. And that silence, that's when she finally noticed. It didn't take long before Dahlia tried to find me. Not because she missed me, not because she cared, but because she lost control, and that's the one thing she never knew how to handle. The first clue was the email, sent to a throwaway Gmail I hadn't touched in years. One she must have dug out from some ancient subscription. The subject line? Just one word. Really? I didn't open it. I just stared at it, unread, like it was some specimen under glass. Because that's what she was to me now. Something I used to touch without gloves, now dangerous to handle bare. But it didn't stop there. She tried calling my brother, claiming it was urgent. He didn't know what to say. I hadn't told him anything yet. She spun a story about me having a breakdown. Said I'd left because I was depressed. She even hinted I'd quit my job, which wasn't true. I was still working, I just used a different desk now in a different corner of the city, under a nameplate that no longer felt tied to her shadow. When that didn't work, she got bold. She showed up at my work. I only knew because security called. There's a woman here asking for you, says she's your wife. I didn't go down. I didn't even speak. I just let the silence answer for me. They said she waited in the lobby for 20 minutes, pacing, trying to look composed while glancing at the elevator every few seconds. When she finally left, she left something behind. A small gift bag. Inside, a card. Blank. And the flash drive. She'd found it. The one I'd hidden behind the radiator. So now she knew I'd heard everything. And still, she said nothing. No apology. No explanation. No voice message. Just silence. As if daring me to be the first to speak. But I couldn't. I wasn't playing the fool again. Not after what I'd heard. Not after the part where she said, I could cheat in front of him and he'd still say sorry. She was wrong. That man was gone. 3 days passed after she dropped the flash drive. I thought maybe that was it. Maybe the silence would stretch and finally snap, and we'd both vanish into the static. But Dahlia doesn't vanish. She delegates. And that's why I wasn't surprised when, instead of her, he showed up. Not the man from the recording. Not the smug voice that called me her emotional lapdog. But someone worse. Nolan. Her cousin. The golden child of her family. The guy who once told me, during our 3rd Christmas together, "You're sweet, Alden." Not her type, but sweet. He found me on my lunch break. I was sitting alone, halfway through a sandwich I didn't want, scrolling through dog videos like they were oxygen. He sat down like we were old friends. No greeting. Just, "You really made a mess, huh?" I didn't answer. I kept chewing. He went on like he was reading from a script. "She's been crying nonstop. Says you misunderstood. That you're blowing things up." I laughed. Startled him. "Did she play the flash drive for you?" I asked. He paused. "She said it was edited. Said you faked it." That's when I realized the depth of it. She wasn't just trying to rewrite the ending. She was rewriting the whole damn story. Suddenly, I wasn't a husband who disappeared because of betrayal. I was unstable, paranoid, manipulative. That laugh of hers? Just a joke. That voice on the flash drive? Faked. Our marriage? Never that serious. I looked Nolan in the eye and said quietly, "Tell her I know what I heard, and what I felt, and I'm done apologizing for reacting to reality." He tried to argue, but I stood up, left my half-eaten sandwich on the table, and walked away. And as I walked, I remembered something Dahlia once said after a fight we had years ago. She said, "You leaving would be the most attention-seeking thing you've ever done." She still thinks this is about attention. She has no idea how peaceful life is without her voice in it. I thought ignoring her would be enough. I thought disappearing would protect me. But Dahlia doesn't fight in the open. She doesn't scream in the street or break dishes. No. She wages war through whispers, delivered by polished smiles and passive-aggressive paperwork. It started with a call from HR. "Hey Alden, sorry to bug you. Just a quick note. Someone flagged your name on an internal message board." I froze. Flagged for what? The woman on the phone hesitated. Anonymous report. Something about inappropriate behavior outside of work, but potentially affecting the company's reputation. I knew instantly. It was her. She didn't want to find me anymore. She wanted to discredit me, make me look unstable. If she couldn't control the version of me that walked away, she'd rewrite one that looked unhinged. One that people would distance themselves from. It was surgical, subtle, just enough to raise suspicion but never enough to point a finger. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I simply asked HR for a written summary of the complaint. When it arrived, my heart sank. The report described me as emotionally erratic, accused me of fabricating recordings, and vaguely implied I'd threatened to harm myself when she left. It read like a diary entry from someone building a defense before anything even happened. And the worst part? None of it was provably false. It was just twisted truth. Memories bent out of shape and polished until they shined wrong. I spent that whole night staring at my ceiling, wondering if maybe I had given her too much power. If maybe walking away silently had left a void she could fill with anything she wanted. But then I remembered the flash drive. The one I'd backed up. The recording. The timeline. The receipts. I wasn't the unstable one. She was just trying to beat me to the narrative. But I wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. I walked into the company's legal office expecting a disaster. Some polite formality. Maybe a severance package disguised as an apology. I had already rehearsed the lines in my head. I did nothing wrong. This is personal, not professional, and I can prove it. But the lawyer, a middle-aged guy named Barrett with tired eyes and an untouched coffee on his desk, didn't ask me to explain anything. He didn't even ask me to sit. He just looked at me, nodded once, and slid a thick gray folder across the table. Inside were printouts, screenshots, transcripts, photos, and an internal investigation summary dated 5 days ago, before HR ever called me. My chest tightened. At first, I thought they'd turned on me, but as I flipped through the pages, I realized something completely different was happening. They hadn't investigated me. They'd investigated her. Turns out, Dahlia wasn't content with just whispering in the dark. She'd contacted someone in the company pretending to be a concerned friend of mine, submitting anonymous tips about my behavior, including claims of workplace threats and erratic mental health. But what she didn't know is that the company flagged the IP address. It matched her name, matched her LinkedIn, matched her employer's system. She left fingerprints all over her little game. Barrett didn't say a word until I looked up from the folder. He simply said, "If you'd like to take formal action, we'll back you." That's when it hit me. She hadn't just tried to poison my personal life. She tried to bury my future. Quietly, neatly, like I'd fold in on myself and vanish. But now I had proof. Real proof. Still, I didn't say yes to legal action. Not yet. I walked out of that office into the sunlight and felt something strange. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I just felt clear. Like the fog had finally burned off, and I could finally see her for what she was. And I wasn't going to let her rewrite one more word. I didn't go after her legally. Not because I didn't have the evidence. Not because I was scared. But because that would have given her exactly what she wanted. A battle. A stage. Another chance to perform. Dahlia thrives on conflict, especially when she gets to be the misunderstood victim. I wasn't going to be her villain. I wasn't going to give her an audience. What I did instead was worse. I sent her a letter. Not an email. Not a message. A real envelope, hand-addressed. No return name. I made sure it arrived at her work address, the place she couldn't afford to look small. The letter was only 1 page. No threats. No legal jargon. Just a simple, calm breakdown of everything I knew. A full timeline. Names. Dates. Screenshots. The name of the coworker I heard in the audio. The financial transfer receipts. And at the very end, one line. "You will never hear from me again, but they might." I never named who they were. That was the point. Could have meant the company. Could have meant her friends. It could have meant her mother, the one she lied to about me abandoning her out of nowhere. I gave her no clue. I didn't need to. 2 days later, I got an email. Burner account. No name. No greeting. Just a sentence. "Why are you doing this to me?" I didn't respond. Because I wasn't doing anything. I was done. This wasn't revenge. This was release. I had spent years trying to be understood, trying to fix, to explain, to stay soft in a place that required armor. Now I wasn't raising my voice. I was lowering the volume until I couldn't even hear her anymore. I changed my number again. Updated the security on everything. Locked down what mattered. And then, for the first time in months, I booked something just for me. A cabin 2 hours north, no signal, no noise. Just trees and silence and a stack of old books. But the story wasn't finished yet. Because right before I left, I got a call. Blocked number. Voicemail only. And it wasn't Dahlia's voice. The voicemail was short. Calm. Male. He introduced himself as Elliot, someone I had heard Dahlia mention years ago in passing. Her ex. The one who moved to Oregon, she'd said, like he was just a footnote. But apparently, I wasn't the only one who'd heard the recording. She played it for me, he said in the message. I think she hoped I'd take her side. I didn't. His voice didn't carry any bitterness, just clarity. I don't know what you plan to do with all this, but whatever it is, don't let her rewrite your story. She's done that too many times. I sat with that message for a long time. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't some dramatic intervention. It was just recognition, and that felt like more closure than she ever gave me. The trip to the cabin turned out to be more than just an escape. It was where I remembered how to breathe, where I stopped measuring time by her moods, her reactions, her lies. I hiked, cooked badly. I burned a pancake and laughed for real. No cameras, no one to impress. I started writing again, not emails or explanations, actual writing. Pages of truth that no one else had to approve. And when I returned, there were no more messages. Dahlia had gone quiet. Maybe because she finally realized she couldn't spin her way out of this. Or maybe because for the first time in her life she wasn't being watched. And me? I didn't return to the life we built. I built a new one. Smaller, quieter, but mine. A year later I ran into Nolan, her cousin, in a bookstore of all places. He looked uncomfortable at first but then said, "She moved. Nobody really talks to her anymore." I just nodded. That was it. I didn't gloat. I didn't ask. I had everything I needed. Because the truth? She lost the game she rigged. And I won, not with revenge, but by walking away before I became someone I couldn't recognize. You've been watching Reddit Confessions. If one moment stood out to you in this story, maybe the voicemail, the flash drive, or the letter, drop it in the comments. What would you have done differently? And if this reminded you to choose peace over chaos, maybe it's time to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for listening. See you in the next story.